Welcome back in, guys, and we are here for another Market Watch Wednesday here on the InkCast, talking about the cards that are moving the most, that are selling the best, and that may be some bargains to pick up. So we're going to be starting to look at some of these cards, and we've got a spicy list today of cards that have been moving. And yeah, we're still going to see some of those that we see each week. But if you like this content, before we jump in, make sure you hit that sub button, leave a comment down below. What card are you surprised didn't make the list? What card are you surprised that made the list? Or what card are you buying that we don't even know about that we should know about? Let us know down below, and maybe we'll do a deeper dive on some of these cards in a different type of video in the future. So with that said, let's jump into the Market Watch. All right, so first up, we have our daily movers, and we've got a card that we haven't seen in the last week or two, but it is skyrocketing, and this is the Queen's Castle. Now, this doesn't surprise me. This is a great card. It's being used as 3 or 4 ofs in decks, and again, when a card is a 4 of in a deck, it's definitely going to be harder to get, meaning the price is going to go up. So when we look at this card, it has gone from being like $5 maybe each, all the way up to, at this point, yeah, over $10. So again, we're seeing this in the red purple deck as it makes its rise. Again, the deck's been here since set 1. Yes, it's different variations, but the deck is back. That means people are picking this card up, so be prepared when you get to your store at championships, because red purple is going to be everywhere based on some of the cards that we're seeing being bought for these particular decks. Next up on the list is the bird. Man, we can't get away from this bird. He's on this list every single week, except for he's going up, but he's still down. So just keep that in mind. This card now is officially under $50. It's been $60 for a while now. So this is a good time if you're really into any kind of emerald deck, the emerald steel deck and stuff like that. This is a $50 card. This is just like Tragic Beast. This is just like Robin Hood. This card will stay around 50 bucks. I imagine the lowest it will probably ever go is $40 unless it literally just quits seeing play, which I don't see that happening unless emerald just isn't the color to play in general. So yeah, this card is under $50 at the moment. If you don't have play sets and you really want to play the deck, I'd pick it up. If you really don't care about playing the deck, then I'd ignore them. But just keep in mind, I don't think this card is really going to go down much more than this. And as of right now, technically over the last day or two, it is going up just a little bit. So just keep that in mind. All right, so next is a Robin Hood. We just talked about this card, and this card is going up. We're at $48, just like Tragic Beast. This is the money card of the set, so set 3. So again, I don't really see this card coming down much if you've already missed it over the last couple months when it was lower. Yeah, I don't know. You should have grabbed it when it was down below, but at this point it is starting to go up. And just like I was saying with Diablo, Tragic Beast falls into this category too. I would say at this point, if you haven't picked him up and you want to play Steel, it is a go-to card in Steel. Yes, Medusa is a problem when it comes to this card, but Medusa is a problem with a bunch of cards. So yeah, I think it's a great card. This also lets me know with Diablo going up a little bit and Robin Hood going up, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of that green steel as well. Yeah, expect it at your set championships, especially because this card is going up, which means people are buying it. All right, so next is Fishbone Quill. It's that red blue deck that everybody's playing, and it is continuing to go up. We're over $11 now, $11.50-ish for the card, and I don't expect this to come back down. So just like Maui being in this at 1, they're getting harder to find, and so now people can push the price where they want the price to be, and that's why this card is over $10. It's a 4 of or a 3 of in all of the red blue decks, and it's just going to be a staple really in any blue deck in general. It's one of the best, ramp cards that you can use over and over because that ink doesn't come in exerted. All right, so card we haven't seen in a while, which is Ariel. So Ariel, Steel Song in general, has been one of those decks that's dominated the format up until really this set. This set, we've seen Steel Song in general just kind of fall off the board because right now, if you're using Steel, probably going with Emerald. but that doesn't mean it's not going to do anything. So I think right now Ariel is a speculation card that people are picking up. And again, it's kind of going up a little bit. And you can see from May until now, it's gone up, over $2 or so. It is a super rare, which means there is a cap on where those are. And until this deck is played everywhere, I don't see it going up. But the singers are great. And if they print the right song or the right card, all of a sudden Ariel gets amazing. And so if you don't have them, it is a good time to go ahead and pick them up. All right, so Lucky Dime, again, red, blue. This is one of your finishers there. Now, Lucky Dime is a little different in the fact that you usually don't have 4. You usually have like 2 in a deck. So that's going to cap the price a little bit, but it is legendary, meaning they're harder to find, they're harder to open. So, the card could fluctuate a little bit when it comes to that just because you only need 2 in a deck. But, if you don't have them, you're looking to play the deck. This is a closer when it comes to any of the blue decks, the item deck based around it, the red, blue deck, stuff like that. So, yeah, I would definitely keep an eye on this. If you don't have them, you may want to look at picking them up at some point. I don't really see this card going below $10. Again, it is a money card from the set, but who knows? If all of a sudden it disappears, it may drop a little bit, but just keep in mind, it went up. We had a little bit of a drop in May, but ever since all of these, blue steel and red blue decks have come around, Lucky Dime is a finisher and a lot of people are using them. The next up is a green card. This is another card that's showing up as a 2 of or something like that in the green steel decks, which is Flynn Rider. And Flynn Rider is pretty cheap. He is a rare. Because he's a 2 of in a deck, I don't foresee his price getting too crazy, but it is a good card to pick up at some point. He's specifically good in the discard decks to make sure you're getting maximized lore here. So just kind of eyeball it. If you don't have them, they're only $1, so probably a decent pickup. All right, so here is a spicy card. Again, a set 1 card, a super rare card, and it is going up. And again, this is going up because of the broom deck that kind of keeps coming in and out. I don't think the broom deck is super competitive at the moment. It can win. Yes, it can win. It can surprise people, but I do think at some point we will get 1 or 2 more brooms and this deck will be viable. So just keep that in mind. Now, again, some of this may be speculation around this Mickey because of the fact that, it's one of the cards from set 1. It did get a reprint technically inside of the Ursula's Illuminary Quest. We do have this new product coming out with set 5 that looks like it could be calling back to some of the first sets. So I don't think Mickey will be in there, but there is a chance you may see one of the super rares show up in that set as well, just like we saw with the Illuminator's Quest. So just keep that in mind. But I do think that this is a card that if you don't have a play set, maybe it's worth picking up now, because if he doesn't get a reprint and then we get 2 or 3 good brooms, he will continue to go up in price because he's going to be a mandatory in that deck. All right, so now we're heading over to Card Market. Yes, these are in euros, so just keep that in mind. But we're going to be looking at the best sellers and the best bargains when it comes to Lorcana right now. I really love this website because it shows you what people are buying as well as what people may be speccing on in the future. And I think all these cards are great. So the best sellers, we're not going to harp too much on this. It's the exact same best sellers we saw last week. Yes, this list does update as it goes through because we can see the best bargains are already updating. But those top sellers, which is no surprise, Flynn Rider, Sisu, and B King Undisputed. Yeah, one of the reasons why they are best sellers is because they are in the current set. People are trying to get those play sets. They're trying to get those cards. I had the comment over in Discord of why do we love Flynn Rider and Sisu so much? And honestly, I think it's just a great combo to go in a deck. It's an easy 2-card combo that has to be answered. If it's not answered, it's a lot of lore without ever putting yourself in danger. So Flynn comes down and they either have to answer it, whether that be a really big creature or one of the removal spells. So you got to think about the fact, and I love how Jiba said this, it's really just a discard 1 for them, or you're going to gain 3, 6, 9 lore, which really dominates the early game and creates a really close mid game. So essentially, We don't have to worry about the late game anymore because we're already up 6 or 9 lore. And then one lucky dime activation or something like that can also just get us to 20 lore without them being able to do much and create a long game for us. So yeah, I think it's a great card. If you don't have them, I don't foresee Flynn really coming down much just because it's a 1-2 card combo type thing. But yeah, if you don't have them, it's up to you if you want to grab them. He could come down a little bit more if we start to see people, you know, completely get away from using the cards. But as of now, we're still seeing them as a combo in most red decks just because it's so easy to run. All right, and lastly, we're going to talk about the bargains, and I really agree with these bargains. Grab Your Swords is a huge bargain when it comes to a card right now. It's fairly cheap, and we're starting to see it rise in use again. This is one of those cards that keeps things in check. So if you think about the Bucky decks, the Diablo decks, things like that that are running around in Emerald, this is the card you need. Sure, Bucky's only 1 power, but realistically, if you can shift something early, like Steel Song that we talked about that kind of dropped off the map at the moment, you know, being able to sing this on turn 2 or 3 to get a Diablo, a Bucky, a Prince John, all of that off the field, this card is a great card. Hopefully at some point we'll get something else printed that maybe does 3 damage to everything for Steel to be able to compete with some of the bigger cards like the red purple deck. But at this point, if you don't have these, it is a good time to go ahead and pick them up because it's a set 1 card that may or may not get reprinted in the future. So just keep that in mind. It's a great card. I do agree with this being a great bargain. Now, Robin Hood, on the other hand, I don't know. This is one of those cards that was really good in set 1. Maybe it's a bargain just because it's so cheap and because we have shift Robin Hoods and things like that. Somebody may look at doing something, you know, interesting along those lines, but it is one of those Robin Hoods that cost a little bit much on the ink scale for what he does, but he can draw you cards, and he was really good in kind of that set 1 into a little bit of set 2. And I'm not saying he was like the best card, but he was being used a little bit. So as a bargain, maybe, as well as just kind of picking up some cards maybe you don't have in your collection. Lastly is Hans, and this one's a little maybe. Hans is a great card in the fact that when we were playing set 1 and 2, being able to ping stuff for 1 as he quested was really, really good. Right now you have Bucky, you have a lot of these ward type cards showing up in set 5. I don't think he's as good as he was because there's so much ward, but maybe that 1 extra damage is going to help you, especially if you're doing Grab Your Swords or maybe a big tink or something like that. So Hans is one of those. He was good for a little while. He kind of is okay right now, but not in any decks. Maybe he's still just on this bargain list because he's cheap. He's set 1, and maybe he goes up in value over time. I don't know. Overall, I think Hans is an okay card. And if we're looking down just really quickly in these other numbers down here, you've got Giant Fairy Tinkerbell. Again, this is one of those cards that is a great, great card, especially if you can shift her. So think of some kind of big Emerald Steel deck where you're shifting it on Morph. Maybe you put in the Tinkerbell that can, you know, cycle away cards, and you never know. They may reprint, or they may print a good or a better small Tink to give you a better shift target in the future. So Tinkerbell, great pickup, as well as that Mickey Mouse that we talked about earlier, being a great pickup as it kind of goes into these future sets and stuff like that. So a lot of really good stuff on these lists, and appreciate the websites for keeping up with all this data so we can take a look at them and talk through them and things like that. But like I said before, guys, if you have any comments, any thoughts about cards that should have made the list, maybe you're looking at some of these bargains or you're looking at some of these bestsellers and you have opinions of your own, let me know down below in the comments. So appreciate you guys. Until next time, I'll take it easy.